Morning to you.
Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Hump of the week. So you know my story. Hi, I woke up very early this morning. I was getting ready to fight Omat in the studio. Then you know
So,
how it is. You check
yes.
your phone, and I just saw messages from my banks.
Mm.
A happy celebration. I said, "Huh? What is happening here?"
Oh, you didn't get it. You didn't get a memo.
I didn't get. I think yesterday, I think it was my internet service provider that had mentioned it. I was like, "What's wrong with these people? You know, they're
Mm.
already wonky in the first place." So I didn't pay attention to them.
Yes.
So it was when I saw the emails this morning. I was like, "Oh wow, all right." So good morning, happy celebrations, everybody. It's been an interesting week. I saw some Chelsea fans pray a prayer yesterday. They're like, God of Manchester United, please also remember us. You know, it's
Yes.
like Manchester United have left them behind. So we'll be talking about that on the show today. We'll also be touching on the UEFA Nations League women's football in Europe. And I'm glad they extended it to the women. We'll also be talking about something UEFA decided to do about Russia's under 17 teams. We'll touch on that a little bit, and then we'll talk about what happened in Italy. You know, before we were suspecting that there was an issue in Italy, but yesterday, those people in Italy gave us confirmation. We will talk about all of that on the locker room today. But before we do that, Omar, tell us, how can we be a part of the locker room? Because we really want feedback.
To be part of the locker room this morning, you can pick up your phone and send us a message to 0809-444-0981, WhatsApp messages only. And then you can also race down to our YouTube channel to catch up on all the conversation this morning, also on youtube.com/smooth981FM Lagos. That said, Tega, let's get into the stories we see here. On the menu this morning, Nigerians berate Napoli, rage after club admin throws Osimhen over penalty miss. There is also UEFA allows Russian under-17 teams to compete in Europe despite Ukraine war, as there is also Bright criticizes lack of VAR after England lost to the Netherlands. And then comes Arsenal's Saka's doubtful for next two games, speaking Ateta. And then also there will be Alejandro Garnacho set Manchester United on their way to comfortable win as Chelsea owners welcome in dressing room, says manager Mauricio Pochettino, as youngster Lopez rescues Barca draw at Mallorca. And then we would see Juventus, the old lady, move up to second after Milik secures a win against Lecce. And that's about the side. So Tega, can we get into the story?
All right, so let's start from the top. What happened yesterday, or was it on TikTok or on Instagram? But it was pretty much everywhere.
Osimhen, that's Nigerian international, has now gone more than 3 games without a goal, and it was evident in his recent performances as he flared up at anyone who approached him while he came off against Bologna over the weekend.
I needed to read more of that story, but let me just give a background.
Okay.
Let me just take it from there. So Victor Osimhen, yes, he missed the penalty. Then he was very upset with his coach, visibly upset. I mentioned this on Monday when he was angry that he was substituted, but he wasn't the only one. Some of the senior players have indicated public displeasure at the coach, Rudy Garcia. But on Monday, we hear that, sorry, on Monday afternoon, we hear that Victor Osimhen has apologized to his teammates. He's also apologized to the coach. Roma bosses have backed that Rudy Garcia, but there was a discussion, and we'll see how changes happen from there. Only for yesterday for us to find out that the TikTok social media handler made a video of Victor Osimhen basically mocking Victor Osimhen that for asking for a penalty, then getting the penalty, and then missing the penalty. And they were saying, "Oh, it was a joke. It was just banter." I'm like, how do you banter your own key player, especially a player that this has been sensitive. It's been in the media. Oh, Victor Osimhen had a fantastic last season, but this season he hasn't scored, like you just mentioned, or you just alluded to, in the past 3 games. So the handler went on to throw Victor Osimhen. So trust Nigerians. Oh, they got into the comment section. If first of all they locked the comment section, then they had to eventually put down the video. But everybody has the video already. Everybody has seen the video, and now we are hearing from Victor Osimhen's agent saying that he's going to take legal action against the club. I'm like, how do you take legal action against the club you are playing for? Because the transfer market doesn't open till January. So give or take, he will still be there till January.
Yes.
Then I also saw this morning that because I'm not on all social media platforms, but I saw that he deleted. Somebody mentioned that he deleted everything Napoli from his IG page. I was just like, you can't do this with a club you're active at. There has to be some mediation and some dispute resolution, at least for now, because you still have October, November, December to be at this club before transfer market opens in January. But it was an ill-advised. I don't know what happened. I don't know who advised the social media handlers. I don't know who authorized that post, but it was a horrible post. Everybody's talking about it. It's not just Nigerians. It's not just Africans. Everybody is talking about it. Even their fellow colleagues in Italy. That why would you throw such an important player of your club like that?
But then you want to ask, how can people forget so soon a contribution of a man just a season ago who had given them the Scudetto, and they've been looking for all this while, and then just for 3 games in the season.
Again, it makes people remember, because remember last season, after all Victor Osimhen did to get them the Scudetto, he wasn't the one that was crowned king. It was Caracella.
Okay.
And remember, people were complaining about it then, that why would you not give the guy that got you goals king? Why are you giving it to Caracella? So this just kind of buttresses the point that maybe they don't consider his input as important as the rest of the world does. So
and so the man has
deal.
sent, of course, so then he's sending a message across to say, so if my contributions are not welcome here, then it's seeming like I will take a walk. That's what the legal is saying.
You can't take a walk now. That's my point. There's a time for transfers, and that time has passed, and the next one is in January. So and you can't even if you wanted to have meetings, they'd not be formal and open, because those are all the rules. So at the end of the day, even if he's upset with the club, again, I still say this is just the timing. Everything is poor. But what I would say is, if Victor Osimhen wasn't planning to move before, he's definitely planning to move now.
Statement of intent.
I'm telling you. So clubs are looking for strikers. Manchester United, Chelsea. Yes, now those are the clubs that are looking for goal scorers. Manchester United, Chelsea. Even Arsenal is even looking for how to replace Nketiah after his display in North London Derby. So everybody, just pick up the phone right now and be calling Victor Osimhen's agent, because the guy is about to move.
Looks like a fine place to drift away from Italy and then head straight to Russia, where UEFA allows Russian under-17 teams to compete in Europe despite Ukraine war. Russia, it said, will be readmitted to European under-17 competitions for the first time since the country's invasion of Ukraine. That's over a year now, UEFA has confirmed, no doubt.
All right, so UEFA decided that, look, at the end of the day, children they don't want to punish children for adult decisions. And so they want to bring back the under-17 teams. So every under-17 teams, they want to bring them back to every European competition so that the development will be across the continent, which has always been their plan. But, people are complaining that, okay, you don't want to punish the children. We understand that. That's a good win for you. But how do you want to punish? That means, how do you want to punish the rest of the athletes for the decisions that government is making? Because most of the athletes do not have the power. Most of the athletes do not have the power to control the decisions of their government. So you might as well extend it to them, which is why some federations are now saying, you know what, this is a slippery slope. If you allow the age grade, the under 17s, to come back, it may mean you have to allow every other athlete to come back. And so where's the fairness with Ukraine? And it's so crazy what is happening. I understand exactly what UEFA is trying to do. At the same time, I also understand what other people are saying. If you're going to let the under 17s play because they can't influence the government, then you have to let the other athletes play because they too can't influence the government. But I also understand where the other people are coming from, that look, there has to be consequences for those actions. Ultimately, it's really a slippery slope, but somebody has to take a stand on something. And please, no, don't tell me sports and politics should be separate. Sports and politics can never be separate. Sports is politics, and politics is a sport. Okay. Whether you like it, whether you like it or not, yeah, you can't separate the two. Think about it. We're talking about this, just watching football over the years. Every time there's a question of dictatorship or human rights, or they start sponsoring sports. There's a reason why they call it sports washing. Because they know that's their only way to get back into the world. So remember when there was a dictatorship in Argentina, you know what they decided to do? To host the FIFA World Cup. Remember when people were complaining about Russia, you know what they decided to do? To host the FIFA World Cup.
We also held competitions in Nigeria too, way back too, in the 90s.
Do you understand? There's always some form of sports washing. You cannot separate sports and politics. Get that statement. They go hand in hand. Okay. So it's interesting. Let's see how this decision, pans out eventually.
And it's a fine place to stroll away now to the Netherlands, where the grasses are still recovering from the fight between the two teams. As the one player is speaking out, Bright criticizes lack of VAR after England lost to the Netherlands. England captain Millie Bright said not having the VAR available for their Women's Nations League game against Netherlands on Tuesday was mind-blowing after TV replay suggested the host's first goal in their 2-1 victory was offside.
All right, so here's what happened. The Netherlands were playing host to England, but in the women's competition, again, this is where we talk about development across board. Now, in the women's competition, using VAR is not compulsory in the group stages, which is disappointing because football, especially in Europe, has gone beyond. It's different from Africa, where they say, okay, we're not even using VAR for CAF qualifications. You know that those things are happening. But you're saying in group stages is optional. So there are some countries you go to, VAR will be available. And then you go to some other countries and VAR is not available. You cannot, this is a professional tournament. You cannot host it like that. It has to be one rule across board. So first of all, that's the biggest issue, that they have to make it optional for such an international and a major tournament. Now, it then happens that Netherlands take the lead. Lieke Martens scored the first goal. But in the build-up to the first goal, Van der Donk was clearly offside. Like, to the human eye, everybody shouted, that should be offside. And then she passed the ball, Lieke Martens scored the goal. It's a goal. And they count it. And they cannot question it because there's no VAR to say, let's review. And so it's not just Millie Bright is the one who had the mic in front of her mouth, but everybody was angry about it. Because now England has to chase the game. They eventually equalize with Alessia Russo, and then they concede a late winner against Netherlands in the 90th, in injury time, because it was past the 90th minute. So, of course, England is angry because, again, this is their second defeat. Can you hear me?
Yes, Tega, we see the red light for substitution.
Yeah. So
there is a sub now, so we need to get in
so
sub.
This is their third their second loss in as many games. So of course they are not happy about it. So I think it's something that UEFA needs to look into. If you're having VAR for the group matches, then it should be compulsory. If you're not going to have VAR, then don't have VAR at all, so that other people too will benefit from this. It's not like when you go to England, there's VAR, then you go to Netherlands, there's no VAR. Then what's happening? So it's something that UEFA Nations League really have to look into.
It is still the locker room on Smooth 98.1 FM. Tega Onojiafe is still here, breaking all of the sports stories down. When we come back, we'll head to England, where we hear Arteta is still speaking about someone to miss games for about 2 matches. But just make sure your thoughts are coming on to 0809 444 0981. Stay tuned.
Omatseye, there messages?
Yes, there are.
So we'll come back with those messages. Don't worry, I can see the time from here. I know once it's 8:30, I know that to round up. Right.
What does future forward banking mean to you? Speed, innovation, convenience, lifestyle goals, or just simply getting
we got
service
messages on YouTube also.
like all of that and more. That is why we specially created Providence Bank for you to take care
You
of
start from YouTube so that we engage people there, and
Okay.
then you now go to WhatsApp. So you mentioned that it is YouTube, and then you now go to WhatsApp.
Okay,
to the
noted
next
then.
level. If you do not already have a Providence Bank account, please speak with our business concierge on 0700 77 684 387 or email businessconcierge@providencebank.com to switch to a future forward banking experience. Providence Bank, future forward banking.
The title of Slum King is reserved only for the chosen. For no one else carries an aura worthy of its weight, followed by just epic journey to power and the all-new action-packed drama Slum King, starting October 8th and showing Sundays at 8 p.m. on Africa Magic Showcase on DSTV and GoTV.
You are listening to the Smooth Breakfast right here on Smooth 98.1.
We are Smooth 98.1 FM. It's gone exactly 26 minutes before it's 8 o'clock, and it's still the locker room. And Tega Onojiafe is still here. Tega, we've got company, great company with us here. So,
all right, so let's take the messages. Let's start with messages from YouTube.
Okay, we've got LK Aderoba here. It says locker room has not even started, and Tega is already shading Chelsea. Chai, I want to be offended, but that prayer is for real. Then it goes on to say Osimhen. It said Osimhen seems to be unsettled in Napoli. They don't appreciate him. Let him come to the club where there are many Nigerians, blacks, and will be well appreciated. That's Chelsea. He should come and save us, Osimhen to the rescue. But then I've got Ibuku who comes in and throws in this one at us this morning. It says, Omas is lonely at the top, Abby. Tega to dance, no Tega to dance and show other antics. So can we switch over now? That's all. But then you can get your message across too. Let's get WhatsApp messages in. You've got some moments.
Okay. All right.
So let's see.
The numbers to send your messages to are
on 0809 444 0981 will be where we get the messages in. So let's get a message from Ibukun from K2 on UEFA, FA, and Russia. That will happen with other bodies like athletics that always have teenagers as gymnasts. Will they be allowed to participate? The ban should be across board as punishment to the country as a whole. Ibukun from K2. And then comes Emeka Onelum from Amuwo. The only explanation Napoli can give us right now is that their official TikTok account was hacked, or that the handler of that social media was possessed by evil spirits. There is
even then we will collect our guy. Even then, we are collecting our guy.
And then he says there is only one possible outcome for Osimhen leaving the club in January. Till now, there is no statement from the club. Just shows how unserious they are. So
exactly. There is no excuse for that. No excuse. We are taking our guy.
And then I've got someone, Kelvin Davis says, I think that what Napoli did was unacceptable. Definitely Osimhen will be looking to leave this summer, even when I think he should have left last summer after the coach that led them to their second Scudetto tried to step down. And talking about Rudy Garcia, is a big step down for their former manager. Napoli made a big mistake by hiring him. At one point, Enrique was free, but it was ignored, and good one for Man United. They really proved that they can play good football when Casemiro plays well. That's it. That's all the messages for now.
So let's go to the next stories. We head
to England. To England, we proceed now, where Arsenal Saka doubtful for next 2 games, says Arteta has joined the club's growing injury list and is doubtful for the next 2 matches. The manager, Mikel Arteta, said on Tuesday ahead of the league of a League Cup tie.
All right, so it's crazy. It's one of the decisions that Mikel Arteta made on Sunday that left me scratching my head, when he was trying to make his substitutions. And you could see prior to the game, they had told us that Bukayo Saka had been suffering with a niggling injury. So he's had the niggles, but they'd been managing it. And during the game, it got worse. And you could see him thinking that, coach, substitute me, I beg, let me rest. And coach left him on there to substitute people that didn't needed to be substituted. At the end of the day, this injury has gotten worse. And so what it means, Arsenal plays Brentford today in the EFL Cup. Then they play over the weekend, Bournemouth over the weekend. And those 2 teams are tricky, whether you like it or not. You can say Arsenal is a more highly ranked team, but when you play those teams, you know that you have played competition. So they are not pushovers. Ultimately, Arsenal needs their best players to be on the pitch, and sadly, their best players may not be available, because you're talking of an Arsenal injury list that includes Leandro Trossard, Declan Rice, Thomas Partey was already out, so they're already pretty much light. And now you add Bukayo Saka, it's going to be a tough one. But this is the opportunity for Mikel Arteta. He likes to rotate his teams. This is an opportunity for before he was rotating without cause. Now he's going to rotate with cause. So let's see who he's going to be able to put up for today's match, number 1 against Brentford, because it's important. You want to stay in the competition for as long as you can. Unfortunately, the draws were not kind. They didn't soften their blow with a nice draw. They gave them a team as huge as Brentford already. So first of all, he's going to have to navigate winning this match against Brentford, and then seeing how he can proceed against Bournemouth over the weekend. But yes, that Arsenal injury list that is growing is now becoming worrisome. You now begin to question their buys in the transfer market. What possessed you to waste 72 million on Kai Havertz? Those are the questions you now start answering.
All right, this looks like a fine place to drift away to Manchester United, where Alejandro Garnacho set the club on their way to comfortable win as the holders cruise into the Carabao Cup 4th round with a comfortable victory over Crystal Palace in the All-Premier League encounter at Old Trafford.
All right, yes. So Crystal Palace, Manchester United promised to be a very good matchup on paper, because yesterday Crystal Palace was completely outplayed, outclassed, outthought. it was not a good display by them. It's something that they're going to look forward to talking about before they come into the Premier League weekend. But for Manchester United, this was good news. They had to back up their win against Burnley with another win. And again, on paper, you'd say this should be teams that you should defeat. So Manchester United had a good day yesterday. And I think they started with high energy, starting with Pelestri, with Gamacho, guys that were hungry to impress, to show that maybe there should be regular starters. Those were the guys that started, and it was a move from Pelestri that led to the first goal that Gamacho scored. Then Pelestri had his own opportunity, but fantastic defending stopped him from getting the second one before Casemiro scored the second, and then the third goal by Anthony Martial. So it was an all-round good performance by Manchester United. And sometimes that's all you need to just boost confidence. It doesn't need to be excellent that you are really back into form. You just need to get one good result after the other, and confidence starts to build. And before you know it, you become a completely different team from the team that was struggling at the start of the season. So good win for Manchester United, good win for Erik ten Hag, and maybe they can build on that and see if they can get a run of wins, and maybe that can get them to playing beautiful football.
If Man United fans and the players will be singing "Glory, Glory United" at this time, can we say the sky is blue over at Chelsea as owners welcome in dressing room, says manager Mauricio Pochettino?
All right, this kind of thing, we only used to see it in Super Eagles dressing room, and we used to complain about it where halftime, you just see, it was not with this board, but former NFF presidents or former government officials going into the locker room. We're like, what's wrong? What's happening here? Well, it turns out that Chelsea is not very far from the Super Eagles because, they said at halftime over the weekend, one of the owners went into the locker room. That's strange. To do what? Are you? What are you trying to do? Are you trying to help Pochettino with his job?
Pep talk.
Pep talk of what?
Management on your case.
My friend, get out of there. But yeah, so when the news came out, of course, it was horrible to everybody. What's happening?
Yeah.
When did that start? And Pochettino now comes out to defend that, the management can come into the dressing room. Sometimes they're part of the team, yada, yada, yada. And I'm just like, I pity Mauricio Pochettino. This money that you collected, you work for it too. Because now you're not just manager, you're PR manager, to add to the job that you're not already doing well. Because on the field of play, his team is not delivering any results. They aren't scoring any goals. They aren't winning any matches. It's not delivering result there, but now he has to also do PR for the management of the team. It's absolutely ridiculous. But yes, Chelsea has to find a way to get some wins from anywhere. And I'm sure they'll be monitoring the Victor Osimhen situation. They really do need a goal scorer. So Victor Osimhen should come and help them out to score some goals. But it starts from today. They're also playing the EFL Cup and they need a result. Like I said, at the Manchester United game, sometimes it doesn't necessarily have to be the best performance or the Chelsea that won the Champions League. It just has to be a team that can get a result that the rest of the players can build confidence from. And that's what they'll be looking at to do today.
And so we get our messages in to close up the locker room this morning as we go to this one saying Arteta will end up from Zikolo. Arteta will end up being his biggest undoing. How on earth would he think he would win EPL with striker like Nketiah? Not forgetting Jesus will still go on his own injury holiday. He keeps making unnecessary substitution and giving unimaginable excuses. I really wish him well. That's what Zikolo sent in. And I've got Tayo who sent in this one saying Napoli think they are a big club. After 33 years of waiting for social media, a manager chose to go wild, highly insensitive. I am tempted to suggest he does a Sancho with the club. He be your people plotting your fall. Don't worry. King Vara will take over when he leaves. And that's what he says on Arteta. He goes on, Tayo says, Arteta will rotate with others today. Arsenal fans will become used to overcoming high blood pressure. Onana hasn't considered in 2 games. Tega, this calls for banter concern.
No need for banter yet. Onana was in goal. Maguire was playing. No goals considered.
And George comes up with
they
this
need
one.
They need a mental health break.
Okay. George says in our message now, says, I just hope Carlo Ancelotti can see what's happening in Napoli instead of waiting forever for something to happen at PSG. And
exactly, he's waiting for Mbappe when Osimhen is available. Please, we are looking. In fact, we are winning every club
Yes.
but Napoli.
And our final message here is from Kelvin Davis, who said Saka injury will finally give Arteta the opportunity to start and trust Emily Smith Rowe once again. That's a wrap, Tega.
All right. Thank you so much for your messages on YouTube and on WhatsApp. Let's do this again on Friday morning at 8:15 a.m. For now, Omas.
Thank you so much. Have a great day. And that's a wrapper. It's the locker room, and it's been Friday. My name is Omatseye Atsenuwa. Good morning.